Parameterized constructor is the one which is going to take at least one or more parameters. So in the earlier case, the non-parameterized constructor was not taking any parameters. But when we start adding certain parameters to the constructor, they automatically treated as your parameterized constructor. So coming to the syntax, once again we start with this def followed by init, which precedes with double underscore and follows two underscores. Self is a fixed parameter, and later on we can write here one or more parameters as per our requirement. Now let's look into this example. So here we are trying to define this constructor where you can see self is obviously there, but apart from that we have two parameters. One is your name, other one is your age, which we are consequently assigning to the respective instance variables name and age. So if you want to change these variable names, you can also change them. Now this is a simple method displaying the values of name and age. Now here we are trying to create the object of the person class by passing two values, that is Thea and 22. So these two values, because the object is created here, automatically the parameterized constructor will be called, as a result of which this Thea and 22 will be copied into respective parameters, which will be assigned to the respective instance variable. Now when I'm going to invoke this display method, which will just display the values of this name and age, which we have already set through this constructor. So the same program which we have shown just now, let's try this with these two values. So you can see you are getting your name is this and your age is this. Now if I want to add one more object here, let's say I'm going to create, say, P2 equal to person, and let's say I'll write Kiran and say some 12. So now with P2 object, when I'm calling the display method, so now because two objects are created, and what is the difference is this object deals with name and age, which is Thea and 22, whereas this object deals with two different values of name and age, that is Kiran and 12. So when I'm calling the display method with P1, I'll be able to get these two details, whereas with P2 I'll be getting these two details. Now when I just run this, I should be getting, so these are the first object details, these are the second object details. Now with the problem, default constructor is, the non-parameterized constructor is, for every object you have a fixed set of values like we have shown in the previous example. But here every time you create an object, you are allowed to set new values for the parameters, and accordingly the objects going to have different values for their instance variables. Now let's see one more example where I want the user to supply certain number of person details, and later on I'll be displaying all the details at once. So to do this, what we have taken is we took a class called person, and this is our parameterized constructor taking two parameters, and those two parameter values we are assigning to the respective instance variables attached with the object. Now there is a show method which is simply displaying the name and age of that particular object. So when the program gets executed, first of all we'll be asking the user to supply how many personal details are to be stored, and this I am storing within the variable n. And here, so we have started creating all persons. This is an empty list, and what I'll be doing is all the persons details I'll be adding to the list one after another. Now here we have taken a for loop for I in range of n. Assuming n value is 3, so range of n means it is going to produce 3 values, that is 0, 1 and 2, which means this for loop is going to execute 3 times, as a result of which this set of lines will execute 3 times. So what we are trying to do here, so we first trying to input the name of the person and storing inside the variable name, and later on we are asking the age and we are storing inside the age. And by taking this name and age, we are trying to create an object of this person class. So once this object is created, we are just calling the append method of your list, and we are trying to append this object to this particular list, which means the details of the person like name and age has been added to this list. Now, as this for loop is going to work 3 times, assuming that n has been asked, I am set to 3. So, second object will also be appended to the previous list, and similarly the third person detail also added to the list. So, by the end of this for loop, we will be able to update this list with 3 object details, which is ultimately nothing but the 3 person details. So what we are doing later on, we have just taken the for loop once again to print the elements present in the list. So we took for say P in all person, that is nothing but my list, and we are just calling the show method with the help of this P. Because 3 objects are added, each object I am using to call the show method. So what the show method is going to do, it is going to display the object values one after another, whatever we have supplied here. Now let's run this. So it is asking how many person detail I want. Let's say I'm just saying 3 person detail. So I'll be asked to enter the name. Let's say I'm entering the name. Let's say some age. And again, I'm asked to enter one more name for second object. Let's say something like this. And then we have given something like this and say 26. So now we can see I'm getting all the details, like the first object details are Kiran and 12, the second object details are these, and the third object details are these. So each of these person detail is actually one object which we are keep on adding to the list, and at the end we are just trying to display the elements, I mean the objects present in the list.